recording. Okay, so let's continue. I was there. Who is the developer of the Python concept? So the Python developer, he is the mathematician and staying in the Netherlands, and his name is Guido van Rossum, and he developed the concept in 1989. In some of the books, it has been written in 1991. So can anyone tell me which one? What is the year of development of Java programming language? Anyone? Introduction of Java programming language. It is also 1991. So why I'm asking this question? Because you can understand that both the language Python and Java was developed at the same year. The conception has developed at the same year by different mathematicians or different scientists, but they have developed the concept at the same year. So before Java and Python, C++ was already there in the market, because after C++ was developed in the same AT&T Bell laboratory, and after C++, Java and Python arrived. And when Java arrived in the 90s, in that 90s era, Java occupied most of the market commercially because of its high security features. Okay. At that time, Python was not so popular, but right now it is popular because it's easy to use syntax, simple and easy to use syntax, and it has an immense powerful set of libraries, modules, and packages, which makes Python is one of the most powerful language in this era. Look, the first version of the Python released in February 1991, which I have already told. That's why in some of the books, it has been written 1991. And that version label was 0.9.0. So right now we are using which version? 3.9 point something. So understood what is the starting version. So these are the various versions, and that is corresponding various years. Okay. It has been updated up to 2018. So 3.7. Okay. So in right now we are using 3.9. So what is the difference between the previous two versions, Python 2 and Python 3? That differences has been written here. Right now you don't need to read all the differences, because you won't understand all the things. Okay. In future you can read it, but it is already there. And this ebook I have already provided in that Google site. Okay, you will get that ebook. Whatever contains or whatever notes I'm using to teach you, all the notes or contents has been already provided in your Google site. Okay. Okay. So let's go with some basic features of our Python programming language. Python is a multi-purpose programming language, which is also a high-level programming language. I think all of you have already understood the concept of high level and low level. High level is something whose most of the instructions are written in our simple English language and using our basic symbols, which you have seen in your keyboard. Okay. That is a basic mathematical symbol which we are using our daily purpose. The high level language generally consists of that. Okay. Now Python is an open source and community driven language. Okay. Python is dynamic in nature, and its source can be compiled or run just in time, or similar to Perl, TCL, or Ruby. Actually, Python doesn't have any compiler concept. Python has a concept of interpreter. Okay. So can anyone tell me what is the difference between compiler and interpreter?
Compiler will compile the code in the blocks, but in interpreter it will solve like one single line also. No need to
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Python interpreter is a special kind of interpreter, okay, which is inherently working like a compiler, but we cannot name it as a compiler. We can call it as an interpreter. And this interpreter is very, very fast. Python interpreter is very, very fast. So to execute its code much faster compared to any other language like C or Java, how much time it will take to compile its code or convert his code into his machine language, Python is taking much less amount of time. So this is another advantage of Python over the existing languages, that Python use a very fast Python interpreter. Okay. This is the differences between all the languages. I have taken the picture and put it into a single slide, the differences between C, C++, Java, Python, and Smalltalk. Okay. So cross-platform, C is a cross-platform good support. Java is better support. Python is also better support. So in a cross-platform, Python is much better compared to C or C++. Okay. Now, cross-platform is Python is also called platform independent language. Platform independent. Now, what is platform independency? Like Java is also platform independent. What is platform independency? That means you can run the code of Python programming language, or you can run your .py file. Python extension code extension is file extension is .py. In case of C, file extension is .c. In case of C++, file extension was .cpp. In case of Python, the file extension was .py. Py. Okay, the first two initials of the Python. Now, Python, a .py file, that means a source file, can be executed in any platform. It may be a Windows platform or Mac platform, or it may be a Linux platform. Any platform it can be executed without concerning about its architecture, without concerning about its underlying system configurations, without concerning about its underlying architecture. Okay, so that's why it is called platform independency. Okay, that means it does not depend on platform. C is platform dependent language. C is not platform independent language. C is platform dependent language. That means one code of C in one platform, if you copy and paste into another platform, it is not guaranteed that C programming will run. Okay, it may create some kind of error or problem. Okay, so you can think that this code has been successfully running in our Mac platform, but it is showing errors in our Windows platform. It may happen in C. Okay, but Java and Python both are platform independent because it has some intermediate code which is called a bytecode, and that code is suitable for all platforms. It has an intermediate code called bytecode. Source code will be converted into bytecode. Bytecode we cannot see. Okay, we cannot understand. It is system understanding code, and that bytecode is acceptable by any platform, or is executable by any platform without concerning about the platform or system architecture or system configuration. That's why Python is platform independent. This is very, very important. Why Python is platform independent is a very frequently question that is going to be asked. Okay. So what are the applications of Python? I have already told Python has several applications, like it can be used for mathematics. It can be used for scientific applications. It is the most important application of Python. Scientific application means image processing, or you can say the machine learning, deep learning, in computer vision, we can use Python. Okay, extensively you can use Python. These are scientific kind of application, or engineering technical kind of applications. Okay. And the other application of Python, those who are recently a web developer, they actually like to use their web development, Python as a web development tool. Okay, instead of other kind of languages, they prefer to use Python as a web development. Not only that, Python also helps to connect with the databases. Okay, so the backend database is always running. Okay, so Java database connectivity is little bit difficult to understand or difficult to write a code. C++ database connectivity is much more difficult than Java, whereas Python database connectivity is very, very easy. Very, very easy. It requires few lines of code to make a database connectivity. Okay, if I will have some time, I will show you how we can do a Python database connectivity. Okay, so because whenever you are going to develop a software, any kind of software through Python, at the back end, you must require the database connectivity. Otherwise, the data from where that particular software will fetch its data or use its data from the database, and the database will be connected, should be connected with the software. And how we can do that? By using a Python programming language, you are able to do that. Okay. Simple and concise. Second difference, C is little difficult, C++ is difficult, Java is difficult, Python is easy. Understood? So how it is, I'm not going to discuss about the small talk. So how the difficulty in terms of simple and concise on this point has been changed from C to Python. I think all of you are noticing it. Okay. Reusability. Reusability means what? You have learned in C++. What is reusability?
Not repeating the same code like again and again.
Reusability means we can use the same code again and again. Okay, without repeating it. So the concept that we have learned in C++ regarding reusability is inheritance. I hope that all of you remember it. Inheritance means a child class extend the features of the parent class. That means we don't need to write the parent class code again and again, which will be already inherited by the child class by using one single lines of statement. Okay. So in C, obviously reusability concept was absent. That's why it's still as little. In C++, we have already used the reusability concept, so it is better. In Java and Python, reusability concept is much more better. That's why it is written good. Okay. Object oriented. C is not object oriented, so no, and rest of the case is yes. Why object oriented is more popular? I have already discussed the basics of object oriented during the lectures of C++. Object oriented is you can say is better than the structure oriented programming concept, because in the real world, most of the problems we can represent in terms of objects. Okay, so that's why object oriented concept is much more powerful than the structure oriented concepts. Okay, so that is much more acceptable. Okay, more acceptable. Popularity, high, good increase in recent times. I have already told Java, when Java and Python both are developed in the same year 1981, Java was more popular in first 10 to 15 years because of its security. But Python is currently it is increasing. Its demand is you can say its popularity is increasing because of new inclusions of the modular packages, and it can handle the modular packages in much more easier way. Okay. Uses, these are the uses of Python or Java or C++ which have been written. Okay. Functional constructs. Okay. Procedural. All are procedural because we can divide all the languages in modules or functions. So procedural. Okay. Generic property. Right now, I don't need to discuss generic property. Event driven. Event driven. Java is the only event driven. What is event driven? Event driven means like this. Suppose you are clicking on a button, and based on that click on that button, your software will do some kind of job. That is called event driven. So whenever you are clicking on the button, the job will throw. Or you can say you are setting your software time according to with the system time. So at a particular time of the date of a particular day, your software will throw some kind of message. That is called event driven. So when that event happens, that particular will be driven to some kind of operations or some kind of applications. Okay. Program size. This is very important. Program size. So C big, C++ big, Java less big, and Python is small code that requires less memory. So whenever you will write small code, obviously it requires less memory. Not only that, software application, desktop application, or gaming application, Python is or web application, Python is so popular. But Python is also popular to handle big data. Big data. I think all of you know what is big data. Okay, have some idea about the big data. Have listened this word big data. So today is the era of big data that we are handling a large amount of data. Okay. So most of the real world data, real life data are big data, like your stock market data, your weather forecasting data, all are big data kind of things. Okay. So Python is case sensitive language as well. Python is case sensitive language as well. And effort to write programs, obviously, when the program size is less, obviously the effort is also less, right? Garbage collection, Python has an automatic garbage collection like Java. Python has an automatic garbage collection like Java. C++ C doesn't have automatic garbage collection. Now, can anyone tell me how we can do a garbage collection in C and in C++? I have already discussed. What is the method?
If you don't initialize the value, then it will automatically take the garbage value.
No, suppose we are some memory of our computer system is occupied by some variable, how we can
free
by using free method in C programming language, we are prefer to use free method to explicitly deallocated the memory which has been occupied by the existing variables from a longer period of time. Okay, and it will return the deallocated memory into the pool of memory from where it is allocated. Okay. C++, in C++, which method we have used for garbage collection?
delete.
Which method?
Delete.
Very good. Delete method we will use in C++ for garbage collection, or in some kind of cases like in constructor, we'll also use destructor. It is another sort of garbage collection, you can say, from constructor point of view. Okay, explicitly we can call destructor to do the opposite work of the constructor. It will, whatever object has been allocated or created by the constructor, that will be deallocated or deleted by the destructor method, if you remember. Java, and in case of Java and Python, we don't need to apply any kind of explicit garbage collection method. We don't need to know even. Why? Because automatic garbage collections already take place in Java and Python. So you can understand how it is important. Okay, how it is easier to handle. Okay, because a big amount of code is not required to learn how to do garbage collection in Java and Python. So how it is popular, you can understand. Here are the standardized things. Okay, so these are the major differences. I think all of you should remember and know these differences, because in examination it may come. Okay, or in interview they will frequently ask it. Okay, so let's just want to show two small videos. Let's check it out. So your mood will be changed. Okay.
Introduction to Python programming language. Definition.
Is that voice clear to everyone? Is that video voice, or it is not coming?
The voice coming, sir. The voice coming.
Coming, no? Okay. Check out the video. Okay.
Brief history. Python is a general purpose interpreted high-level programming language, which was created in the Netherlands by Guido van Rossum at Centrum Wiskunde en Informatica, CWI. Python was designed to emphasize code readability and was conceived as an upgrade from the ABC language, which was inspired by the complex mathematical language of sets called SETL. What most people don't know is that Python was initially a hobby project for Guido van Rossum to keep himself from boredom during the Christmas season. One might think that the name Python has some significant hidden meaning or attribute related to snakes in one way or another. The truth is, when Guido van Rossum created the programming language, he was in a very sacrilegious mood, and being a big fan of the Monty Python's Flying Circus, Guido named his Christmas hobby after the comedy troupe from the 1970s. The Python programming language was also created to handle an interface with the Amoeba operating system. The language was implemented in 1989 and first released to the public the following year. Guido van Rossum was effortlessly able to see the flaws from the ABC programming language since he helped create it. He used most of the good features from the ABC language to create the Python programming language, which he modified to eventually remove all the flaws in the ABC language. After the creation and release of Python, its creator, Guido van Rossum, was recognized as the BDFL, benevolent dictator for life of the programming language. After van Rossum joined the Corporation for National Research Initiative, he received a mail from Ken Mannheimer requesting access to some BDFL privileges for a semi-formal team of developers who would oversee Python's development and workshops, which would make Rossum first interim BDFL. Just like ice cream and chocolate cake, Python also began with only one flavor. But today, the programming language has gained a few more flavors. Some of these new types of Python programming languages are a combination with other programming languages. The various types of Python programming language include CPython, which is written in C and is the most common effectuation of Python. Jython, which is written in Java and is compiled to bytecode. IronPython, which is effectuated in C# and is also an extensibility layer to frameworks written in .NET. Brython, which is browser Python, which runs in the browser. Ruby Python, which is a bridge between Python and Ruby interpreters. PyPy, which is an implementation in Python. MicroPython, which runs on a microcontroller. The Python doctrine, the Zen of Python. A major contributing developer of Python, who goes by the name Tim Peters, wrote a poem to list out the doctrine and philosophies of Python, which can be accessed by typing the code import this into the Python IDLE. The poem is known as The Zen of Python by Tim Peters, and it goes like this. Beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. Simple is better than complex. Complex is better than complicated. Flat is better than nested. Sparse is better than dense. Readability counts. Special cases aren't special enough to break the rules. Although practicality beats purity, errors should never pass silently, unless explicitly silenced. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. There should be one, and preferably only one, obvious way to do it. Although that way may not be obvious at first unless you're Dutch. Now is better than never, although never is often better than right now. If the implementation is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. If the implementation is easy to explain, it may be a good idea. Namespaces are one honking great idea. Let's do more of those. The development steps of Python. The first version of the Python programming language was developed by Guido van Rossum at alt.sources in February 1991.
Acha, everyone look at the symbol of the Python, okay? Actually, it is two Python snakes are cross-coupled with each other, okay? So I don't know how many of you have you noticed it. The one snake color is blue, other snake color is yellow, okay? So name is actually reflected the symbol of the Python, okay? Let's continue.
And was named version 0.9.0. This version was inclusive of exceptional handling functions at the core data types of list, dict, str, and others. January 1994 saw the release of Python code version 1.0 and had additional features such as functional programming tools Lambda, map, filter, and reduce. Van Rossum had a significant distaste to the additional features in the Python code version 1.0. In October 2000, the Python code version 2.0 was released. This version came with the following additional features: list comprehensions, a full garbage collector, and the version supported Unicode. After an additional 8 years of success, Python released its next major version of the Python programming language, called version 3.0, also known as Python 3000 or Py3K. Unlike the previous versions of the programming code, Python 3000 was not an update, but entirely new code that removed the duplicate constructs and modules of the previous versions as an attempt to fulfilling the 13th law of the Zen of Python. Companies that use Python to provide products or services. Python is used all over the world by big companies to provide services and products. Companies and government organizations that use Python include NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, used the Python code to create a workflow automation system, WAS, which proved to be cheap, fast, and effective. Google uses Python programming language for various system building tools, system administration tools, and various code evaluation tools. Google also uses the Python code for various Google APIs. Facebook uses a number of programming languages, of which the Python code accounts for 21% of Facebook infrastructure's code base. Since Facebook is a giant social media platform, Python provides Facebook with thousands of libraries and millions of code. Since Netflix allows their programmers and developers to choose their preferred programming language, Netflix's developers often turn to Python to handle their critical applications, such as the Central Alert Gateway. Among the largest companies to use Python, Instagram tops the list. The photo-sharing social media platform was built on top of a web framework known as Django. Django is a web framework that is entirely written in Python code. Other companies that use Python code are Nokia, MIT, Discus, Hike, Amazon, Mozilla, Dropbox, Pinterest, IBM, Yahoo Maps, Walt Disney Feature Animation, Facebook, Expedia, Reddit, Quora, Spotify, Udemy, Shutterstock, Uber, and YouTube. Even though Python programming language inspired the development of many other programming languages, such as JavaScript and C++, it has a lot of distinctive features, such as the fact that Python doesn't use braces to remove code limitations. Indentation is mandatory with Python, and attempting to import from the _future_ package.
Look, this concept is very important, which just recently told that Python doesn't use any kind of brackets. Okay. So when we are going to learn that these brackets are generally not present, especially the to represent a function or class, or you can say any kind of looping, we are actually using brackets in C or C++, right? These braces, brackets mean braces. First bracket Python is also using for define the functions, but these braces, that means which will define the scope of the function or scope of the class. Okay, those braces we are not using in Python. Instead of that, we are using indentation. Okay, instead of that, we are using indentation. Indentation means is actually giving some white spaces to define the scope of a particular function or a scope of a particular class or scope of a particular code. That we will learn whenever we're going to deal with some code. We will learn how we can do indentation. Okay.
Brings up a witty syntax error that says, not a chance. Python is considered to be a charming, elegant, and mysterious programming language, which is also among the top searches by Google users.
Okay, this is major things in this video. Now I want to show you one small one, which will show you what are how the evolution of all the popular programming languages actually going on. So just check it out. I will skip it. So it is started from 1966. Okay. So Fortran was popular. So it is 1973. Okay. Still Fortran was popular at that time. I don't know how many of you know the basic. Basic is very much common like a DOS. Okay. Look, the C has already started. 1977. Okay. Pascal is quite popular. Look, Pascal cross the Fortran. Okay. Now C is growing. Look how C is growing. It is that time when that Linux or Windows, which has been designed by C. Now C is the top one in 1985 around. Ada and C. Now in 1990. Now 1991. Look, C++ is already entered. Okay. So at that time, up to that time, C is quite popular. Now Java entered. Look, Java and JavaScript. Look how much the popularity of Java is increasing around that 1997, in that 90s era. See, it overcrossed the C++, Java and JavaScript both. Look, in 2000, look, Java crosses all the previous one. Okay. So I'm just skipping the video at the end. I'm sharing this link. You can go through it. So if we see, look, Python is entered and in 2017, Python is gaining popularity. Look, it crosses all Java, JavaScript in 2019. So it will show up to 2019, okay? When the Python is popular across all the existing languages. So I think you can understand how much it is popular and widely used nowadays. So I am sharing these links with you. Whenever you have free time, you can go through it, okay? Right. Okay, so so IDLE or IDE, whatever you say, it's a cross-platform Python development environment that that we are going to use, like Anaconda. Okay. These are the basic way of how to write codes in IDLE or IDE. Okay. Okay, let me show you some basic code today. Okay, enough theory has been discussed. Okay, so how we can run a code in Python through a Anaconda command prompt, that I need to show you. I have already shown you. If you are using the Python basic command Python prompt, which I have already shown, there all kind of basic statement or basic syntactical code we can run or you can execute, but it is difficult to handle scripts in that Python command prompt. That's why we are taking the help of Anaconda prompt, right? How we can run our scripts in Anaconda prompt, that we will see today. Okay, so let's check it out, everyone, very carefully. Okay, to run a script into Anaconda prompt, you have to first open the prompt, and it will look like this, just like a DOS window. It has a path, okay, which will show this is a default path, the root user path or the base path, you can say. Okay, now I will have to open an editor. Which editor we are going to use? We are going to use a Notepad. This is the most common editor, text editor, that we are going to use to write our script or write our code. Very simple. Now I want to write the first code of Python, which is nothing but a hello world print, which will be written in such a way which I have already shown you into that Python prompt, if you remember. Okay. We don't need to use any kind of semicolon to represent the end of the statement in Python. Okay, that is mandatory in C and C++, but in Python it is not mandatory. So I think you can understand how much it is easier to handle. So in C and C++, we have to remember which statement requires semicolon, which statement does not. But in Python, no statement require any kind of semicolon to represent the end of the statement. Okay, enter is enough. If you press enter, that will automatically consider it as the end of a statement, right? Now this is the code that I need to print, right? We have to first save that code. Where we are going to save the code? We have to save the code in some kind of drive. Okay, so in my system I have 2 drives, so I prefer to choose D drive to save the code. Go to GS University, go to, these are the Python. Okay, that here I am going to save the code, and the code name I have given, suppose hello. Okay, so this is the file name. Okay, hello I have given, and I will have to use .py extension, .py extension. This is very, very important. Okay, and make it all files. Don't make it text files. If you make it text file, then at the back end it will automatically consider it as a text file, which will not be a Python file, and the Python interpreter does not understand text file, so it will never execute your file. It will give you error. Okay, is it clear to everyone? So we'll choose all files option in a save as type and give the file name along with .py extension. That is important. Okay, and save the file. Okay, so file has been saved with the name of hello. Now, what is our next job? Our next job is to call the Python interpreter on that file, hello file, which help us to execute the code of that hello file, which we have written inside of it, right? So how can we execute that file, or how can we call the Python interpreter? That is very, very important. Okay, so first thing, that we have to enter into the drive where we have written the code. That is the first thing, because we are in the base drive right now, or the root directory right now, there is C. Obviously from C drive, if we are going to run our code, that will not identify it because the code is not present into the C drive. The code is present into a D drive, JIS University, Eventsem, sorry, this one, Python, and here the code has been written. Now, how we can do that? Just copy and paste this path. Select it, copy paste this path here. Okay, but before copy and paste, we'll have to switch from C drive to D drive. How we can switch it? Very simple. Just write D : and press enter. You are directly switched from the C drive to D drive. This command is very much common with the command in command prompt. Those who have already learned DOS, they already know it. Okay, D : / Rest of you, please write it down. Okay, I'm not going to tell each and every time. Rest of you, please write it down, note it down. D : enter will navigate you from the base drive to that particular D drive. Okay, in your system, if you have F drive, E drive, you can just write E : it will navigate you to the E drive, or F : it will navigate you to the F drive. No problem. Now, within this D drive, I'm going to copy and paste the entire path, except this D : / because we are already in D drive, we don't need to copy paste it. So we will do it and make it CD. CD means change directory. You have to give change directory. This CD command is also popular in DOS. Okay, because within D drive we have to enter into a GIS directory. Within GIS directory we have to enter into the Eventsem directory. Within Eventsem directory we have to enter into the Python 4th sem this directory. That's why we have to use this CD command, change directory command, and press enter. Go to the end and press enter. So we have already present into the D drive under GIS University, within Eventsem, within Python 4th sem. Clear? Now within this one, our file is present. Our file is present. So we simply call the Python interpreter. How we can call the Python interpreter? By using Python keyword, we are able to call the Python interpreter. Then the file name hello, then .py the file extension, and enter. Okay, we will get the output. Clear? This is a Python interpreter. Give us blank space, single blank space, and then file name .py. And you will get the output. This is a very simple and basic way to run our code in Python. Clear? Is it clear to everyone? Anyone has any kind of doubt? Okay. Our meeting link will be exhausted, so everyone join the next one. Okay.